Okay, folks, Beyond the Gates, episode 96. Man, oh man, oh man. Nicole is pretty much going on her rampage even more. Chelsea, even though it seems that she's done with Allison, that doesn't mean Allison is done with her. And Tomas is not cheating. I'm sorry. I don't think he's cheating. I know some people will be mad for me to say that, but as far as I know, him and Kat are still not in a relationship. And okay, he kissed her sister, but at least he didn't have sex with Kat. So there you go. Another 9 out of 10 episode if you ask me. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What is it? Thursday. So today is episode 97, and we are inching closer and closer to the 100th episode. Now we kick it off with Nicole calling Danny, due to the fact of Martin just having a concern. And then that's when her daughter pops up and wonders what she's talking about. And the thing is, Kat doesn't know. So it's time to have a heart-to-heart about what went on with her brother. Now, in the midst of this situation, Jacob actually comes in and asks to speak with Nicole alone. But of course, that's not going to happen. So he takes a seat and explains that he's investigating an assault that she allegedly committed, which of course we know is linked to Leslie. Now, Nicole's like, I didn't attack anyone. And then Kat assumes that bad boo crazy. I love how Leslie and Kat both have, comedic names for each other. And Nicole insists that she was baited into it. And the thing is, it's like, look, I'll admit to the fact that we exchange words and scuffle. And that's when Jacob's like, Nicole, did you try to choke her to death? And then she says, well, I wish I succeeded. And then the thing is, Kat reels her mom in like, hey, calm down, Ma, calm down. And Jacob asks if there's anybody who'd vouch for Nicole's side of the story. And she's like, I'm sure I could find someone. And then that's when Kat says, you wouldn't dare arrest my mom, would you? And she's like, I'm going to hunt Eva down and order her to get, Leslie to back off. Because it's like, yet again, Jacob is being painted out to be the bad guy when he's just doing his job. And I'm Team Jacob on this one. So the thing is, he isn't ready. He isn't here or ready to arrest Nicole yet. And just thanks her for answering the questions before he leaves. And then that's when Kat goes off. And then Nicole has to reel her in like, hey, you need to calm down. And what I was about to tell you about Martin has to wait. So she leaves to take care of some business. Now we go over to the diner and Eva tells Tomas there haven't been many people, she can trust. And then they kiss, which is pretty much, a recounting what happened in the last episode. And she's like, damn. And then they both say they're sorry. And he's like, well, hey, it takes two to lock lips and I can't say I didn't like it. So he pretty much does something that he kind of dog piles on Kat here by basically agreeing with Eva that Kat isn't exactly the nicest person. And he knows that she treats Eva like trash. And sometimes she's sweet and she's not hard to look at. But the thing is, we haven't had sex yet because, she's still a virgin. And then Eva is like, oh, so he's unsure if it's ever going to happen. And I can't believe he's just recounting all of this information to Eva like that. And her reaction is hilarious. So Eva is amazed that given how uppity and whatnot she is, she's so old fashioned. And he's like, please don't tell her I told you that. Wait, are you high, Tomas? Of course that won't happen. Now, let's be real here. She might not say Tomas was the one that told her, but we know how Eva is. She's just like her mom. She will cut her where it, low where it hurts. There will be some slick comment or something, and she's going to let it slip that she knows she's a virgin. Now, we were close to having sex, but I stopped it because it seemed too forced, like part of a to-do list as opposed to something natural. And that's when Eva pretty much, vouches for him, like, well, hey, you got to do and think about what you want to do. And he actually wants to spend more time with Eva. But the thing is, he also admits he feels guilty kissing Eva, due to the fact that he doesn't know where he stands with Kat right now. And Eva feels like, well, think about how easily me and you can talk about things and the chemistry we have and the great, just the flow of our encounters with each other. And he would like to get to know her more, and then takes her hand and thanks her for giving him what he's not getting anywhere else. And, well, man, I don't really know where this is going, folks. But I'll tell you where these two are going. She's like, okay, well, I'm about to go back to my hotel. And Tomas asks if, hey, can I go with you? So they hold hands and walk out. So the big question is, what's going to happen from here? So speaking of the hotel, Ted argues with Bill about the dead body, and he can't allow this to get any worse than it already is. And, is barking at Bill to assure him nothing's going to go wrong. So that's when Leslie shows up, almost on cue. And Ted is, of course, pissed off that she's there. And she pretty much shows him the bruises on her neck, acting like, oh, she's this damsel in distress. So you saw Nicole strangling me. Well, it doesn't look that bad, Dana. So she claps back by saying, you know what? Well, Miss Uppity Nicole, she can use a shrink for herself. And I'm not there to, just make these false charges. It's just that, well, I don't even know what to say here. She's putting on this show. And this is something and this is not a critique against Keith D. Robinson. It's just that the way Ted is being portrayed, it's almost like he doesn't have much of a reaction to anything. So, yet again, while Leslie is putting on this huge performance, he's just looking like, it's just a bruise. You're not going to need any sort of like plastic surgery. So I don't know what exactly you're here talking to me about. And that's when she takes it to another level and then acts like she's having a panic attack. So then they switch subjects and talks about Eva sorting out the accreditation issue, and Leslie is proud that their daughter found a way to one-up Kat for setting her up. And then Ted demands, her explain what's going on. And the thing is, that's when she pretty much says, well, ask Eva, maybe she can clue you in. But that's the thing. I mean, this has just been an ongoing subject since the beginning of this series, that even if you don't like Kat, you cannot deny the fact that she is constantly dismissed whenever she brings something up to her parents. Yet this Eva stranger who just pops up out of nowhere has instantly earned their trust over their own daughter. Of course, we know later on that this is actually Ted's daughter, but yeah. But the thing is, Ted claps back saying, like, well, why do I need to talk to Eva about Kat? Eva took full responsibility for the situation. But the thing is, Leslie says that's because our daughter has character and knows how to take a heat for a situation that she didn't do. Doesn't that sound familiar, Dana? So, that's when she gets flirtatious, running her hand over his chest and reminds him how he used to bite her apples. And he's like, yeah, that's not going to happen, and tells her to leave. And Ted is just getting one visitor after another, because soon as Leslie leaves, that's when Jacob shows up and says that this isn't a social call, it's official. And he, has to get information from Ted about the fight at the diner, and explains how Leslie filed a report against Nicole. And Ted, doesn't want to make a statement since I'm already in trouble with my wife to begin with. And then, speaking of Nicole, she pops up at Leslie's and demands to see these quote unquote injuries. And as soon as Dana takes the scarf off, Nicole can clearly see all those bruises are nothing more than freaking eyeshadow. And I love that. I don't know why. It's just one of those things where this is a classic, a messy Leslie move. So Leslie warns her that there's always another plan. Next time you won't need any makeup, Nicole says, basically saying like, hey, the next time you try some crap like this, you're done for. And then we go over to the hospital. Yet again, Madison. Look, I'm not saying Chelsea is falling for Allison. It's just that, if you take Allison stalking her out of the equation and Chelsea being ditzy, I think Madison has some massive insecurities. I don't know. Maybe she was cheating on in the past, but I feel like while Allison is possessive, Madison might be jealous, like overly compensating for a past experience. So at the first sign of a potential red flag, she just assumes the worst and runs away. But in any case, yeah, we pick off from episode 95 where Madison overhears part of the conversation that Chelsea's having with Allison. And Chelsea tells her that, look, you should leave your husband if he's constantly putting hands on you. And Allison says, like, what we have is real. And, is looking towards Chelsea. And that's when Madison just leaves. And what is it about people eavesdropping? They always leave when they hear something they don't like, but don't stay those extra 3 seconds to hear the follow-up, which would alleviate any sort of, like, doubts they have. But Allison says that Craig has always been physical with her, and Chelsea can't believe she would put up with that, considering how long they've been together. But then that's when Allison says, like, well, he's great in the sack and he's so charming. But Chelsea says again, but that doesn't make his assaulting you okay. And Allison takes this as Chelsea caring about her. And when Chelsea says, like, well, my dad's a lawyer, I can contact him, hopefully to, help out. But then that's when Allison just all of a sudden just goes, well, if I wanted your help, I'd ask for it. And it's like, wow. Which the way she responds to this, Chelsea's like, wait, what's this? It's like, you're always about Madison, Madison, Madison. You know what? Get up and leave my room. And then Chelsea just goes to the waiting room area and then meets with her girlfriend. And they talk about the situation. Madison just feels like Allison is milking this situation for everything it's worth. I feel the same way because Chelsea is offering a potential solution. Allison doesn't want her to do it, obviously, because she doesn't want Chelsea to stop the attention. And perhaps her situation isn't exactly what she's telling Chelsea it is. AKA she's faking the whole thing. Just like, Leslie with the bruises. So Madison is uncertain, but she just feels like all of this is just off. Like, the fact is, Chelsea kind of sort of notices that when they were quote unquote together, there were never any signs of abuse. And whenever I offer, getting her help, she doesn't want these quote unquote allegations to be looked at any further, which leads Madison to say that's because something is off about her. And then she gets a message and, she got doctor duty, so she has to leave. And then Allison gets a text from Chelsea and she goes back into the room and Allison apologizes for freaking out on her. And she doesn't want Craig to get into any sort of legal hot water. But that's when Chelsea pretty much ends things by saying, look, you need to leave him if he's really as bad as you say he is. But the thing is, I can't be a part of any of this. And I don't want you to reach out to me ever again. Because being around you is awkward and weird. And as a result, is having a negative impact on my relationship with Madison. And then as she leaves, Chelsea runs into... Wait, was it Kat? And who was eager to find Eva? Yeah. So, wait, or was it Naomi? I forgot. My notes, I think I wrote down the wrong name. Dang. But, yeah, it's just one of those situations where Allison, her story really isn't lining up. I feel like her injury is self-inflicted. And obviously, she knows if she gets Chelsea to help out and uncover his abuse, it will turn out to be a lie. So, this is all some sort of scheme. And given the fact that Chelsea says she's done, that doesn't mean Allison is done with her. But overall, solid episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And I'll catch you all in the next one.